The hedgehog wasn't there. Not this morning. Berry noticed first. He crouched near the hedge where the grass was bent into a narrow, secretive path. It had been flattened slightly during the night and was now starting to stretch and reach for the warmth of the morning sun. It looked as though something small and determined had passed through, a nocturnal rummage through the leaves. He waited, ears tipped forward, but nothing stirred. "He's gone," Berry said quietly. "All wandering," said Millie Moonbeam, coming to stand beside him. "They do that." The garden was calm. Silver globes of dew ran down the rhubarb leaves, and the lupins yawned in pinks and blues and creams. The poppies around the bean poles swayed their good mornings, and the roses bobbed their heads too. The soil beneath the apple tree was dark and crumbly, just as it should be. And oh, look, there by the hedge, an apple core nibbled and gnawed, in just the same way as the day before. Floyd tapped it gently with a stick. "Something's been busy. Hungry too, I'd say." Roscoe nodded. "That'll be our prickly friend." They stood together for a moment, listening to the garden unfurl as it breathed in the new day. They waited for it to settle and bask in the warmth of the sun. "It's lovely knowing he was here," Caratina said, "even if we didn't see him." "Yes," said Roscoe. "That's often how it is with the helpful ones." Berry frowned slightly. "Do you think he'll come back?" Roscoe didn't answer straight away. He looked around the garden, at the hedge, the compost heap, the low places where leaves gathered when the wind had done with them. "He might," he said at last, "if it feels right to him." That was when the idea arrived, not suddenly, not all at once. It slipped in between them like a thought that had been quietly growing roots and was now ready to spring green tender shoots into life. "We could make somewhere," said Millie Moonbeam, "just in case." "A resting place," Caratina added, "where he might snooze away a quiet hour." Roscoe smiled. "A place that doesn't ask for anything." That decided it. They didn't rush. First, they walked around the garden slowly, noticing how the air circled and spun, sometimes in a whisper, at others with full cheeks and a puff. They paused on the open lawn, daisies tickling toe beans. They shook their heads. Too bright, too busy. Near the back door felt wrong too. Too many footsteps, too much a-doing of. At last they stopped near the hedge, where the ground stayed dry, and the wind was but a soft, shy murmur. Fallen leaves had gathered there in delicate mounds, as though the garden itself had been saving them. Berry crouched. "Here feels the right kind of nice for a stopover stay." "Yes," said Roscoe, "and it leaves a way out." They fetched things one by one. An old wooden box from the shed, weathered and plain, its corners softened by time. Floyd moseyed down to the stream and came back with smooth, rounded stones, already warm from the morning sun. Dry leaves were gathered carefully, making a sound like quiet applause. Roscoe asked Ray de Biscuits if he could have some of his hay. Ray de Biscuits put handfuls of hay under his strawberries to keep them off the damp earth as they grew plumptious and ripe. "Of course you can, Roscoe. Help yourself." "Perfect." They turned the box on its side and nudged it into place so it leaned slightly, just enough for rain to trickle past without gathering into a damp puddle. Floyd checked the opening, then checked it again. "Not too big," he said, "just right." They slid leaves inside, not stuffing, not pressing, just laying them as gently as bedding. The hay followed, loose and springy, so air could still move where it needed to. Caratina arranged the smooth stones on top, thoughtful and precise. "So the wind doesn't get clever ideas," she said. Roscoe stepped back, then forward again, adjusting the angle of the wooden box by the smallest amount. "Dry is more important than cozy," he murmured, mostly to himself. When they were done, they stepped back a short distance. "It doesn't look like much," Berry said. "That's how you know it's just right," Roscoe replied. They left it alone after that. No peeking, no waiting with held breath. Inside the cottage, paws were washed and the kettle filled in gurgling glugs. Millie Moonbeam warmed pea and mint soup on the stove, thick and creamily green. Berry brought out some crusty whole wheat rolls from the larder, sent fresh from Nash the baker that morning. There were cucumbers for crunch and some lettuce to munch, and a few ripe figs for afters. A rather fine way to round off the work of the day, a perfectly civilized lunch. Outside, the garden continued on without them, doing what gardens do when no one is watching. That evening, as the light softened and the sky tipped gently toward dusk, Floyd paused by the window. "I thought I saw something move," he said. They didn't crowd the glass. They didn't rush out. They let the night have its say. Later still, when the stars had begun to arrange themselves and the garden was a darker, quieter shape, Berry noticed it. A leaf that had covered the hole in the hedge had been moved away. Just one. And in the morning, there was a narrow, tidy trail through the grass, not pressed flat, just enough to be persuaded to wilt but a smidge. "There," said Roscoe softly. The day passed easily after that. The bunnies gardened a little, tidied a little, and then stopped before it became too much. Caratina set aside a small shallow dish of water beneath the hedge, refilling it carefully so it didn't splash. "For anyone who's thirsty," she said. That evening they sat together on the bench under the kitchen window and thoughtfully sipped warm milk through curly straws. The light from the kitchen window was just enough to mingle with the nighttime sounds and cast a soft glow down the garden before fading where it met the hedge. "I like knowing he might be there," Berry said, "even if he isn't." "Yes," said Millie Moonbeam. "It makes the garden feel bigger." Roscoe rested his paws on his tumblington. "Sometimes," he said, "making space is the kindest thing we can do." The bunnies moved inside, and the cottage breathed quietly, holding its warmth without trying to keep it. Outside, something small and purposeful moved through the leaves. The shelter waited. The garden listened. And somewhere between the hedge and the stars, a prickly traveller decided for himself. All was snug. All was well. Night, night.